All right, Sean, I want to start us off here with Washington versus Oregon.
Mm.
For any new listeners or viewers that come upon the segment or the full show, whatever it is, I want to resurface what the bet is that we have on this game. Anyone who's been tuning into our content and missed when we shared the bet, probably looking at us, why do they look like shit? Why are they trying to grow out facial hair that they can't grow out? I have to tell you right now, it's been a bloodbath on Rufino and Joe. It has been an absolute bloodbath. I know nobody's coming on College Football Inquirer and questioning your facial hair because they're just like, oh, it's the big dumpy producer and his bad facial hair. I'm sorry that's mean.
Why am I getting this? Why am I getting? Don't worry. No, we got a game in the preview where I'll give it back to you. Don't worry about it.
I'm giving you one negative comment because I've been enduring this for the past month. Do you know what happens every single time now I come into a live show with Blake? There is a flood of
beard.
There is a flood. Yeah, no, that's one of them. There is a flood of comments of people saying I look musty. There's a flood of comments that say that I'm it's only about my appearance. It has nothing to do with my takes or analysis. And then eventually they usually pick apart said analysis. But the bet that we have in place, and we've been growing a beard for about a month now in anticipation of the bet. And the winner of Washington versus Oregon determines who gets to shave the beard. So if Washington wins, I get the shave. You have to keep growing yours out until the end of the year. On the other side, if Oregon wins, I keep growing the beard. You get the shave. This has to be the most uncomfortable month that I have dealt with. This is so itchy and uncomfortable. It does not look good.
I know you've lived a very tough life so far. So
shut up.
Here. Oh, also, by the way, you're giving me 3 points, maybe 6. Did you touch it up twice?
I haven't touched it up a second time. You're only giving me 3 points.
You're giving me 3.
The line's 3 points.
I thought about it. I thought about evening it out also, by the way. I'm sitting here like I might give these points back to Joe because, by the way, you say I'm not getting anything. I've heard nice mutton chops. I've heard fat beard. I've heard any bad beard.
This is from people you know.
I'm hearing this from people that I talk to. Not goobus flubus.
What do you mean people you talk to?
In real life.
Yeah, that doesn't, if it's people that you know and have a relationship with, instead I've got, some dude with a, with like a Wojak freaking avatar
better.
on YouTube. No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it is a plethora of comments. So I don't want to hear it.
You think you're the only one dealing with the plethora?
In-person comments don't mean anything because if you didn't have the facial hair, they'd say something negative to you regardless.
But now it's all focused on the facial hair. I'm not talking about buddies. I'm talking auxiliary. You look different. What are you trying there? All of this. It's impacted. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I think that the most stressful part about this bet, it's a good thing we're going to be in person together. We're going to be in person for the South Dakota State game at South Dakota State for when this game is being played. But we have been told that the cell service during the game is going to be non-existent because there's going to be so many people on campus. So we're not going to know the outcome of the game until we walk back to the hotel. It is going to be the most stressful walk of my life. That is going to be horrible.
I'm going to find out that score. I don't believe the cell service thing that they're saying. I'm going to figure it out.
We're in the middle of Brookings, South Dakota. I believe it.
It's an institution of higher education. There's got to be a signal somewhere.
We need you to get on Tinder when we get there and see which girl can give you their login for the Wi-Fi. That's what we need to do. That needs to be accomplished.
Yeah, that'll be nice and smooth, won't it? That's.
I need your Wi-Fi password.
Yeah, hey,
Wi-Fi.
I'm in town.
Wi-Fi.
Can I get the internet?
Worst
pickup line ever.
To actually talk about this game, I think I can already guess where either of us are going to be leaning. I'm getting killed on Twitter today, by the way, for my takes on why I think Washington is going to win this football game. I see Washington's receiving core of Polk, McMillan, and Odunze being one of the most elite receiving groups in the country. Now, I know that McMillan has dealt with some injury stuff. I don't know his total availability, but they have the most explosive offense in the entire country. And they've got a guy who has great deep ball accuracy, a big arm, that is connecting with them at an absurdly high rate. They are unlike any other team in the country that they can just go deep and connect on a consistent basis. I really do think that despite Oregon showing that they've been a little bit more well-rounded, Sean, I think that Washington has the advantage to score in an instant that is going to help them build a lead that will put them in a position to then win that game and hold off that lead. The fact that they won last year at Autzen gives me a lot of confidence that this team has improved, that they're going to win at home this season.
The wide receivers for Washington they scare me. Washington, they scare me. They are difference makers. They are efficient route runners, and they catch the ball. That is nervous. I need what I'm going to deem a big donger game from Bo Nix. That's what I need him to do. I need him to look like whatever he was, whatever game last year when he was at his most dominant. Off the top of my head, I'm trying to think what it was. I think he ran for a couple touchdowns in one game. It might have been versus Cal or something. Whatever he was most dominant in last year, I need that to be replicated. Because not only are you playing for my beard and facial hair, you're playing for the shot at the CFP. Because I don't think USC is going to make it. I think these two teams are going to be the last two battling for the last ever spot in a 4-team playoff from the Pac-12 before it dissolves.
Oh, you know what the game was? The game that where everyone started to really, really talk about Bo Nix last year, I remember, and I'm sure that some Oregon fans are going to come flying in and saying, like, it wasn't that one. The Washington, that was unintentional. The Washington State game, though, you remember that where they climbed back and he threw for over 400 yards and 3 touchdowns and a pick. That was the game that really threw him onto the scale here. I do agree with that take, though. I really think that what is going to lead to Oregon's success in this one is you do need the big dong game from Bo Nix. You need to put his nuts on the table, and he needs to out-duel Michael Penix.
That's going to be hard to do, by the way. Michael Penix looks fantastic this year. He looks sharp. He looks confident. He's, I don't know, name a calmer quarterback in the pocket. Who do I want? There's so many good quarterbacks this year. I know you could say Kell Williams, Drake May. You could say these quarterbacks, but he is as good with pocket presence and composition as a quarterback as anybody else in the nation. If we want to compare stats, talent core, arm strength, arm accuracy, short, medium, long, whatever, you nerds can do that. Michael Penix is fantastic at quarterback. Shoot scares me, and the Washington defense gives me a little bit of, oh my God, what are they going to do? Like what are they? How many sacks are they going to get? They're going to get a pick six? What's it going to be for Washington? Because as much as I want it to be Oregon, gut is telling me it might be the year that they go back to the CFP. Washington does. It might be. Because they're well built. They're well built.
I really think that's the case. And what has always been really interesting once we get to this middle part of the season, when teams haven't played anybody, we always do this thing of, well, so-and-so struggled with X bad team, so that means they're bad. And I think that is a very flawed philosophy when we have on tape them completely boat racing teams. And I'm talking about in this circumstance, it's both of them. Last week we were doing this with Texas and Oklahoma. And it's like, who was the most impressive in their bad game? And everyone was turning to the fact that Texas looked as good as they did against Alabama. This week, what's really puzzling for all the Oregon fans that are mad at me this week, they're all bringing up the Arizona game. And I know that Arizona game was bad. It was very, very bad for Washington. That was their worst game of the year. But every other game that they've played, they have dominated. One thing that I think is a little bit more legitimized is that Arizona isn't as bad as everybody thinks that they are. That freshman quarterback that they have did some nice things against USC. I know that I'm not going to sit here and say that they're a bowl eligible team, but they're a hard fighting team that will put up a fight when you show up and you think you're going to kill them. They're not the team that you want to do that against. And it just was proved last week. Conversely, when Oregon played Texas Tech, Oregon looked bad. Like Oregon, they didn't look bad as in they're going to have like 5 losses bad. But they showed some signs of weakness. That version of Oregon can't show up. And the same thing goes for Washington, obviously. But my point is that both of those bad games, I think, are equally comparable. And I would argue the Arizona one isn't as bad as the Texas Tech one.
Yeah, Michael Penix Jr. still was 30 for 40 for 363 yards. Like that's still that is a winning performance from your quarterback. Would you like a touchdown or two thrown in there? Of course you would. But point to any fan this week before their game. Ask them, would you want your quarterback to go 30 for 40 for 363 yards? Every single one of them would say yes. Nobody would say, I need him to do more. Not one of them. They'd say, oh, that's great. That'd be fantastic. That'd be a huge help. Better than what he's been doing. That's like par for Penix Jr. It's like maybe that might be a bogey for him.
Right.
So there's some perspective that I need to hold in here. I mean, looking back at this Texas Tech game right now.
That I remember.
Bo Nix with 32 for 44, 359 and 2 touchdowns. These teams are going to put on the best game of the year this week.
This is going to be
Washington,
fun.
Oregon is going to be the game of the year. It has to be.
This is going to be fun. My final thought, though, I'm picking Washington, obviously, because my bet is contingent on it. I just really love the offensive explosiveness. I think that is such an advantage to when you're down 2 scores to score quickly or to be up a singular score and to really put a back-breaking blow in there to score another touchdown to go up if you hit a 60-yard bomb over the top. Do you know how demoralizing that is? I'm going with Washington. Your final thought while you're picking Oregon.
Yeah, I got to go with the Oregon here. I need their rushing game to get activated. Still looking at that Texas Tech game. It's close because they didn't run the ball well. Bo Nix was their leading rusher. He had 46 yards. Marquise Irving, 38 yards. Noah Whittington, 21 yards. Jordan James, 8 yards. Get something moving on the ground. Get something going on the ground. Please have a balanced offense because I don't think Bo Nix can really duel it out strictly passing with Michael Penix Jr. They could put up similar lines, but he needs a good running game. He needs a good running game. If they can surpass, what is that? They barely got over 100. If they can surpass 120 on the ground, I'll be happy. And I think Oregon will have a legitimate shot.